All right, we're recording. All right, so we're going to take a look at accounts receivable using QuickBooks Accounting and the account link. We'll take a look at creating an AR charge in Retail Pro. We'll look at how to set system preferences, how to charge, and how to make a payment. We'll also take a look at using Account Link to get information back out of RPRO and send it over to your QuickBooks Accounting. We'll talk about setting up account links, linking customers.
That's what we need to know.
Yeah. We'll talk about reading receipt batches. We'll talk about how to post a batch, how to import that into QuickBooks, and how to apply payments to invoices. So all kinds of fun stuff. All right.
How come you call them POAs and our thing says ROAs?
It's the same difference.
Yeah.
One is paid on account, the other's received on account. And so that's the difference. And it's just kind of whatever you're used to.
Yeah, ours is set up as ROAs.
Yeah.
Instead of POAs. It doesn't matter. I mean, it's the same thing.
Right. Now, there are a couple of external add-on softwares you can get for both Retail Pro 9 and Retail Pro 8 that will bring over your charge balances. Or it doesn't really bring them over. It keeps track of your charge balances in Retail Pro.
Right.
It's called the AR balance or something. Yeah, I think it's what it's called, AR credit balances. And what it does is every time you make a charge, it adds to the customer's balance in Retail Pro. Every time you make a payment, it subtracts from the customer's balance in Retail Pro. And that software does, I believe it only recognizes POA as the payment type rather than ROA. So just a minor change. And it then will keep track of the balances in Retail Pro. So you can see them in Retail Pro. You don't have to look at QuickBooks to see the balance. And I have no idea what that software goes for, but it is available as an add-on that you can get and add to Retail Pro if you desire. All right. So with a customer, the first thing you need to do is back out of this receipt I started, is set up accounts receivable or set up QuickBooks to handle accounts receivable. So to do that, we're going to go to Options. We will go to System Preferences. And under System Preferences, we can set up the preferences we want to take a look at. So under Point of Sale, under Tender Requirements, we can specify what tenders are going to be valid tenders. And we have Charge selected. We can also select, along with Charge, we can select whatever might be required. And so I have a customer's last name and phone number required whenever they're doing a charge. Also, under Customers, we can set up down here at the bottom under the checkboxes to allow a charge tender to AR customers only. And what that means, the customer must be marked as charge in order for that to go over to that customer. AR must be marked as yes or export, or that customer cannot do a charge. Then there's also allow charge against a charge limit of 0. That means you don't have to set a credit limit in Retail Pro in order to be able to apply a charge. And since you doesn't keep track of the charge limit anyway, it doesn't matter if you do set one, it never changes. So it never changes. And so you usually check both of those to allow for charges. Next, under
Okay. What's that zero out tax percentage?
Let's see.
At the bottom.
What time is the boss coming for tea?
4:30. I'm
4:30.
Sorry.
Yeah.
She
That's when
should
you're
be-
exporting out customers.
So should it be checked?
It doesn't matter because I'm never exporting my customers out of here, so it doesn't really matter.
Oh, okay.
And then under fees and shipment, you want to be sure that you have a POA or ROA fee so that you can pay your charges. And I've also got, you have to require a customer. All right. Once you have those set, then you are set for doing charges. So we'll save that.
What's that bad check?
That is a fee type I created so that if someone writes you a bad check, you can go there and put the amount of the bad check so that it sends over a charge to AR charges for the amount of the check. And then when you collect it from the customer, you apply it against their account to pay for that bad check they wrote and whatever bank charges you may charge them for writing that bad check.
Yeah. Okay.
So it gives you a way to handle that when you're using AccountLink. And on our website, there is a how-to video there about setting all that up.
Okay.
All righty. So now that we've got it set up for charging customers, we can go to point of sale, we can go to receipts, and we can create a receipt. You can see I've created a couple here. I did one for Bob, and he charged $134 to his account. I can create a new receipt, and I can do another charge, or I can do a payment. What I cannot do is I cannot do a charge and a payment on the same receipt.
In the same receipt.
Right. If you're going to make a payment, you've got to make it on a separate receipt.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, it's like you try to pay your Visa bill with your Visa card. It doesn't work. You pay with your MasterCard maybe, but not with your Visa card. And so you can't put a charge and a payment on the same receipt. They're going to be two different receipts.
Yeah.
So when we're doing a charge, we have to pick the customer we're going to pick on. And because I never remember who my customers are, I always go to the customer list. And I've added the column for AR charges. And that way I can see who can and can't charge. If I want to charge something to a customer and it says no, and I choose that customer and I add them to the receipt, when I go to make a payment, charge is grayed out. They're not a charge customer.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot charge to them. So the customer has to be a valid charge customer. If I wanted to charge something to Eleanor here, I would need to go to my customer list and change her to a charge customer.
Right. Poor Eleanor.
Yeah, poor
She doesn't have
Eleanor.
good credit.
No, she doesn't have good credit. So we're going to pick on a different customer here. I'm going to blame Jennifer. And we'll go okay. And yeah, fine, clear all discounts. I don't care. We didn't put any on there anyway. I want to add my item to it. So I'm going to go to my choose and edit items. And I'll pick what it is Jennifer wants to buy. She wants to buy this size 8.5 gold shoe. She's going to buy one of those. And we'll say okay. And it's going to add that to my receipt. Her total is $32.35. I can, of course, add more stuff. She's ready to pay for it. So we're going to choose tender. And under tender, now charge is active. It's not grayed out. So we can choose charge. We can specify what kind of terms we're going to give Jennifer on this sale. So we're going to give her net 15. And we'll say OK. And we've got our charge all set up. So we now have a charge for Jennifer. If I need to make a payment to someone, again, I need to choose who I'm making that payment for. To make a payment, I'm going to go down here to fee type, and I'm going to make it as a fee type. And so I'm paying $32.99. I can press enter, or I can click over here on the little fee pull down. Either way, it's going to pop up this list of fees. So I can pick POA, and it'll plug in the fee type for me. Because if I plug it in, it's still going to pop up that little list of fees, so it doesn't matter. And so I plug in my fee type. I go to tender. And how am I going to pay that? I'm going to pay that with a check. And it's check number 5241. And we'll say OK. And we have now paid our payment. If we go back out here and look, we can see that we've got 2 charges and we got a payment. Then we got somebody else who did a credit card. That's our whole day we have today. So I want
slow
to
day.
Slow day. Hardly worth showing up. I could be really efficient, and I could go over here and I could do my X out Z out, and I could do my Z out for the day.
Now we always do X out.
What do you mean nothing to print?
System admin, does that need to be deleted?
It shouldn't need to, because that was the only cashier I used. I guess that was it. All right.
Now mine doesn't. Oh, it's because I do
doing the X out.
X out, and you're doing Z out.
Right. So the Z out comes up, and we've got how much money did we start with in the register, how much money are we going to leave in the register, and how much do we have in the drawer. And you go through and you count each tender time.
Deposit.
Right. And so since we didn't do any cash, I'm just going to leave everything 0. And I'll say OK. And it's going to finish my Z out. Big difference between Z outs and X out is it saves this Z out. So
it saves.
If I want to, right. So if I want to see it, I go to former Z out, and I can find that Z out I just did, and there it is. And if I'm counting my drawer,
I have to rerun again, right?
Right. And if I'm counting my drawer, see on here my drawer count and how much of each tender I counted.
I see.
And so that's the advantage of a Z out. All right. So
okay.
We've got our Z out. Actually, I'm going to go back into that Z out. Next, we can switch over to our, not to our there, to our account link. Where did it go? There it went. Account link allows us to bring stuff over from Retail Pro into our QuickBooks. You can also bring stuff over into BusinessWorks and to Mass 90, but we're going to look at QuickBooks. So when you want to bring things over, you need to read a batch. And so you're going to go to Batches. If we're setting up Account Link, we need to go to Options. Under Options, we go to Preferences. Preferences then lets us set up what we're going to do with Account Link. We have what accounting software are we going to bring stuff over to. We have how are we looking at our general ledger account. With QuickBooks, we look at a flexible structure, which means it looks at the account name, not an account number. Under GL options, what account tenders are valid tenders for us. Under AR options, what tenders qualify as an accounts receivable tender. I've got charge, of course. I also have COD, that if someone puts something on a COD, it's also going to register as an accounts receivable. When I'm paying for an accounts receivable, then I've got POA. Down here, I have my addresses for my customer information. Accounts payable is set up similarly, except you don't have anything to do with what tender types you're using. Under under store account manager, we have where things are going to go to. Where am I going to send my cash, my checks, my credit cards, store credit, COD, and charge are going to go to AR clearing because the account link cannot post directly into accounts receivable. So it drops it into an AR clearing account, pulls it out of there, and then drops it into the accounts receivable. And that's all automatic. We've got gift certificates, we got sales, we have our cost of goods, we've got our receipt fees. Receipt fee 1 is our POA. That's also going to go to AR clearing. We get our cost of goods and how vouchers are going to be handled. Vouchers go to AP clearing instead of AR clearing, but they're really similar. So once we got all that set up, we can save that. That will take us back to the main screen of Account Link, and we can go to batches. Under batches, we choose what kind of batch we're reading. We've got receipts, vouchers, slips, and memos. Payroll doesn't do anything at all in QuickBooks. Doesn't do much in the others either. Theoretically, it sends over the hours, but it doesn't really work right most of the time. Receipts, they work well. So with receipts, we go in, we want to read a batch. It's generally going to pop up and show you the last batch that you read. We go up to read. There are two ways you can read a batch, marked and preview. A marked batch is going to put accounting marks in Retail Pro so that it knows if that's been sent over to Account Link, and it won't send the same transaction over more than once. We have a batch description, a start date, and an end date. With receipts, we typically want to read 1 day at a time. So we want all 3 days to be the same thing. So that means I got to fix this one. So we've got our batch description, our start date, and our end date all the same. If you have more than one store, you very well may want to see each store independently. And so you would check this create single batches for each store. If you don't have more than one store, you can still check it, but it's not going to matter. And we go, okay. It goes over, looks at our Retail Pro, and summarizes what happened in our charges. So we get here, cash. I have cash and checks being sent over as one number. So it combines my cash and checks into cash. I've got my charges. I've got my cost of goods. I've got my credit card sales. I have my merchandise sales, my total sales. I've got my AR clearing, or my payments. I've got my inventory, which is the same as cost of goods. I've got my sales tax. And I've got the total for debits and credits. Now there's two ways to check this batch to make sure it's good. The first is these two numbers here at the bottom. You don't really care what they are, just so they're both the same. If they're both the same, then you're in good shape.
So does this make sense?
Oh, yeah, I know.
And so the other thing you can check is your merchandise sales number. To check that, we will go look at our Zout Zout. We will look at the net sales number. And our net sales up here, we can see, is 184.88. Back in Account Link, that's the same number we have for our merchandise sales. That tells us this is a good batch. If I wanted to, I could check all the other numbers with the exception of cost of goods and inventory, because they don't show up on a Zout or Xout. But the other numbers do. So it's a good batch. We can now post it. So we click post. You enter the date you're posting for. The one way you do not want to post it is as transactions. If you post it as a transaction, it will literally make a transaction.
Oh.
When you hit post, if you choose transaction, it's literally going to list every single transaction that happened that day as a separate GL entry in your accounting.
Not good.
Not good. So instead of the combined summary, you get individuals for each receipt you have. If you have 4 receipts, not great. If you have 100 receipts, bad.
Yeah, it's really bad.
Because you'll never make any sense out of it at all.
Is there an undo button?
Well, sort of. You can unmark a batch, reread it, and repost it. So now that we've sent this over.
Well, after that isn't going to happen.
Yeah. If we find our accounting software, and the nice thing about it is, once you decide how you're going to see it, and you select that, then it stays that way, unless you change it again. So we come over here to our QuickBooks. If we go to our home screen, we can see that we want to bring in our accounts receivable, our sales. So first thing I want to do is just make sure I don't have something wrong. I'm going to look at my chart of accounts. I'm going to find my AR clearing number, and it should be 0. It should always be 0. So should your AP clearing number. But with receipts, AP shouldn't change, but AR could, especially when you have charges on that batch. So we're going to import that batch. We're going to go up to File. We're going to go to Utilities. We will go to Import. We will go to IIF Files, and we'll bring in that batch. If it goes to the right place, we're going to be looking at QB data files up here. We're not. So I'm going to click on the pull down. I will locate my QB data files. Generally, they're going to be on your R drive in the folder called QB data. And now I can see my files. If I have an old receipt file, I want to grab it, drag it up, and put it in imported batches. That'll get it out of my way, reducing the chance that I'm going to import the same batch more than once. I will select my receipts marked, and I will open it. It's going to import that data. It says my data's been imported. I say OK. And I can see my AR clearing is still 0. What happened in AR clearing? If I double click it, I can see here, here's the total of my AR batches. I had my payment and my charges. It then dropped in, well, I've got my charges and my payment. It then dropped in my 2 charges, and it took out my payment, and I end up back at a total of 0. It starts at 0, and it ends at 0. That means that batch is good. Everything is great. If it doesn't start and end with 0, well, first of all, you started with something that was out of whack. But if it doesn't end in 0, that means something didn't come over right. Either you didn't get a payment or you didn't get a charge, because if everything comes over smoothly, you're going to be back in 0. It's possible that when you're doing that import, you could get an error that says error line 25. And what that means, 9 out of 10 times, is that the customer on that receipt doesn't match a customer that currently exists in your QuickBooks.
Okay.
If that happens, you can go to your browser and browse your windows. And so I can go to my QuickBooks data folder. I can locate that receipt file. I can right-click on it. I can do an open with, and I can open it with Notepad or WordPad. Better is to open it with Microsoft Excel, because Microsoft Excel is going to open it up, and it's going to show it to me in a line number form. So if I had error line 25, I'd be looking at line 25. Well, I would have never got that in this batch.
Yeah.
But I could have got error line 21, and it would have been pointed at that one. And that would tell me that Jennifer here probably has something wrong with her name. I would then compare her name to what's in my QuickBooks accounting for my customers, and I would probably find out that someone had changed the spelling or something and didn't bother to mark it as export in Retail Pro when they changed the spelling. Then it comes over as a slightly different name, and you get that bad error line, whatever.
It says, no, no, no.
Yep. All right. So now that we've got that batch in, we don't need that part anymore. We're 0. We're good. We're going to close out of there. My customers, I can look at by going to customers, and I can find whatever customer. I can find Jennifer Brown. And I can see there's the charge she made. I can find me, if I can spell, and I can see there's the payment I just made. So I can locate someone, and I can see what's happened in their account. If I want to kind of at a glance see what's happening with everybody's account, I could go to Reports, and under Reports, I can go to Customers and Receivables. I can go to Open Invoices. That shows me all of my customers, and it shows me their open invoices. Like here under mine, we can see here, my balance is 0, but I got all this junk hanging out in here. That's because it hasn't all been applied somewhere. If I was to double-click on my payments, I can then go in here and say I want to apply this payment to these invoices. I can say save and close. I can say, yeah, and I go away because I'm not there anymore. of course, I'm still here again because this is me in version 9.
Yeah.
And so I'm in there twice, 2 different accounts. All right.
Okay.
And so that way you can clear up your invoices. You can apply your payments to your charges. And when you've got a 0 balance, it'll reflect a 0. And that's pretty much AR with Retail Pro.
Okay.
Any questions there?
I don't think so.
All right. It's fairly straightforward, unless you get one of those errors. And if you get an error and you're not sure how to fix it, you can always give us a call, and I'll help you straighten it out, figure out what went wrong, and show you how to fix it.
Okay.
So if nobody has any questions,
All right.
we had one other person sneak in on, then I'll let you go. And
All right.
we'll
Thank
be
you very
posting
much.
this up on our website. So they'll post this recorded up on our website in case you want to review it. It'll be under webinars. Good. There's a little box there that says recorded webinars or previous webinars. And you can go there and you can look it up and you can review the webinar.
Thank you.
Right.
That'll be great.
You're welcome.